in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there, and welcome to the program. It is March 11th, 2014. Beautiful, warm, sunny day. 2 inches of snow for tomorrow. I guess it's tomorrow, isn't it? Whatever. Oh, man. Susan is unable to join us today. So I will soldier on by myself. I've been walking in this building now for how long? 4 years? 5 years?
Sign in.
Huh? Yeah, well, I walked in today, and I'm turning to get it to the bank of elevators, and I say hi to the receptionist, who I know. Hi, and she says, "May I see your building ID?" And I look like me? I look around, what? I said, my bill? I said, I mean, I have one somewhere. I don't even know where the hell it is. I said, I haven't used it ever.
Someone flipped out.
What happened?
A crazy person flipped out in the elevator.
Yeah.
Being like, I can't believe just anybody could just walk in here. Just anybody could walk in here and blow the place up. And so someone else in the elevator complained to the building manager or something, and then they were like, well.
Okay, so one terrified, must be somebody who watches Fox News, right? who's scared all the time and saw that, our security here was apparently lax. And so now we all have to be inconvenienced because, God.
Yeah.
I don't know where that damn thing is. I do recall it is, as so many of those photos that are taken of you for identification purposes, I'm frankly offended if anybody accepts it as a reasonable facsimile of moi. They're so hideous. That woman down there knows me as well as she knows, she knows 95% of all the people who walk in this building. Excuse me. I hate this crap. Security. Oh, please, give me security. Give me security. Inconvenience everybody all the time. So one Fox News viewer freaks out in an elevator, and we all bear the consequence. God, all you scaredy cats out there. The funny thing about your mindset is you actually think that that will somehow make you more secure while you're in this building. It is absurd. It is so easy to sneak into places like this. My heavens, the poor person at the reception desk is half the time her back's turned. Psh, right to the elevators you go. She's looking down. Psh, right to the elevators you go. Excuse me. ID. So do you have one, Jess?
Yeah.
And you show it when you walk in?
Now I do. It's a pain, though, to get it out.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean,
I put stuff in my hand.
I know. I hate scaredy cats. I hate them. I hate you guys. Whoever you are. Get a grip. Get a grip! It's really... God, create such... Okay, I'll stop. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's just so strange because, I mean, we talk about security all the time, airport security, and any sense that we can be as the Fourth Amendment, which we read yesterday, states, the right of the people to be secure. But this kind of security they're talking about is secure in your person, your effects, your this, your that you cannot be, have the government come in and. So, fine. So. Okay. So I got just a wonderful email today from David, one of you. And I have to tell you, it so moved me. And I had not realized the date, so I thank you. I'll read it to you. Today is my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I don't know why I know this, but I also happen to know today was your father's birthday. I assume I heard you mention it long ago. All I know is for years I've remembered that. I met you once 20-some years ago. I remember it well, but there's no reason why you should. But I never met your dad, your mom, your brother or sister. I've never met anyone in your family or knew any of them in any way except what you've told us about them on the radio. Quite a successful batch of offspring your dad created, I'd say. I wanted you to know that somewhere out there in the world is someone who has never met your dad, but every year on his birthday acknowledges that it is his birthday, raises a glass, and says, "Happy birthday, Lynn Cullen's dad." Every year for what seems decades, I just want you to know. I think of your dad on this date every year. Happy birthday to us. I hope I have a lot more, but not too many. I'm sick and tired of it all, and just about ready to go. This place has gone insane. To your dad, holding up a glass of my favorite libation later this evening, Dave from Washington.
Aww.
Isn't that just, Dave? Thank you. I mean, anytime somebody can conjure my father for me, I am so grateful, because there wasn't a better man in the universe. Thank you. He would have been 93 today. Yeah. So, yeah. The thing, I was thinking about this last night for various reasons, and I was thinking about how getting old means having to get better at saying goodbye. Getting old means having to get really good at losing things. Where are my keys? And losing those we love. And it's tough. There's something strange about how when, the older you get, actually in many ways the more vulnerable you get. And also at that same time, the more the universe piles on you. It doesn't seem quite right to me, but obviously I have nothing to say about it. What was that quote I just saw? Man, this is it. further in this sort of depressing turn I've taken. I just saw Franz Kafka. You can always turn to Franz Kafka when you want an uplifting quote. So I did find one here. It's pretty, you can remember this one. It's all of like 7 words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The meaning of life is that it stops. I thought of that yesterday when one of my dead fish floated to the surface finally. Oh, it's so sad. He's just lying there on his side. Just big, beautiful. He was so beautiful. No, he's just lying there on his side, and I'm waiting for his mate to pop up, but maybe his mate is still encased in ice somewhere down in the...
Are you going to let your cat eat it?
Am I going to let my cat eat it?
Yeah.
I thought of that. My cat who wanted that fish for so long. I was thinking, well, now the fish is not going to put up much of a fight, is it? So I don't know. I suppose that, it's okay. It's still a frozen fish, essentially. I don't know. You know what? My cat won't want to eat it, I'm quite sure. But he might want to snag it. Yes, I thought of it, and I thought, I don't think I could bear to see this fish that I'd come to love and care for ripped apart by another being that I love and care for. I'm not sure. Did you see the article in the paper the other day about the eagle's nest, which I'm, totally addicted to, and warning us all, warning those of us addicted to it, that we are entering a very scary period, and that if we can't handle the reality of nature, we better sign off now, because they say that when those eggs hatch, which I guess will happen in about 2 weeks, as soon as those eggs hatch, we are going to be treated to some pretty brutal realities of the natural world. Such as, and they said, get ready for it. Obviously, they're going to have to be feeding these little fledglings, and they will be bringing live prey back to the nest, so that I've watched the dang eagles sitting on their eggs because I find it extraordinarily restful. Oh, bucolic nature in its most glorious beauty. Oh, look at the maternal instincts, the care with which... that's what I'm looking at. I'm loving it. And all of a sudden now they're saying that I'm going to see one of the eagles swoop in with a screaming bunny rabbit in its talons that'll be screaming, because there's audio on the feed too, that'll be screaming as they rip it apart piece by piece and feed it to their little birdies. And we've also been warned to watch, there's 3 eggs, that if all 3 hatch, to watch the first and second ones that hatch probably beat up and perhaps kill number 3.
Oh my God.
Well, they're all competing for food. If the parents can't find enough, they do go in birth order. This is what it said. They go in birth order, so that the parents will feed the firstborn, first hatched, first. And that little number 3 is getting the short end of the stick all the way through its probably very brief life. And I guess some of these siblings, little eagle siblings, have been known to bully and terrorize the runt, and even throwing it off and out of the nest. No, they'll kill it.
Oh, that is amazing.
Well, that is so mean. So I know. So this is the natural world, which I've been oohing and eyeing and cooing over, is about to turn. Well, it's not about to turn. It is what it is. And it's about to show its more brutal side. And I wish I could say I'm looking forward to that, but I'm not. I am not. Absolutely, I'm not. So, Anthony is saying, tell David in Washington about your family photo that's on your Twitter account and your Facebook page, right? I think he would like it. Then you'd at least see all of us. Well, you know, that's interesting, though. But speaking of my dad, that is such a horrific picture of him. My mom and I were actually talking about that picture yesterday. And she was saying, oh, I just can't believe in that picture how you and Bill look so exactly alike when you're smiling. You know, so all these memories. And then I said, yeah, but Mom, Dad, he looks... I said, he always had this thing where sometimes his eyes would sort of like roll up into his head and there's too much that you'd see a lot of the whites underneath. And he's got that look with his eyes half up. And this was his pudgy stage. So he just looks like this fat-faced, strange-looking man who we all remember as handsome as heck because I guess later in life he lost that weight. And there was this really handsome face there, although his eyes still did float up. I don't want anyone to think that my dad was that goofy looking. Mother remembers, oh, that was the period of the 3-martini lunch. She said he was hanging with a bad crowd. They would go out and drink at lunch. I never even think of my father as much of a drinker. Drink at lunch. And so she was suggesting that they... you know, that took a toll. But that was the 50s. Mad Men era. Lot of drinking going on. Well, it's weird. I didn't know Susan wasn't going to be here today, and I was hoping that she would help carry me through a show in which I don't have a lot of fodder. You guys know the news as well as I do. And it is, as usual, it is the nature of news, unpleasant, unsettling. I mean, I'm thinking the big stories that come to mind are, of course, the missing Malaysian airliner, which I'm beginning to think was abducted by aliens. I mean, it is bizarre, and I do not recall, I don't think, a case in which an airplane was missing like this for so long without a trace. And this is a mystery that I guess is, you know, it's certainly fascinating in its way to those of us on the sidelines. But wow, how extraordinarily difficult for the people who had loved ones on that plane. And they say that they're telling people still that this is a search and rescue mission? Give me a break. You're kidding. And telling the families not to give up hope? Are you kidding? I mean, I hate to be a negative person, but I mean, I would think hope at this point is delusional. I don't know. Okie doke, let's see what we got. If anybody's got anything they do want to talk about, Pistorius puking at his trial is another thing in the news. And I happened to, what was I listening to, CNN? And so the anchor is questioning the reporter on the scene there in wherever it is, Johannesburg or Cape Town, I'm not sure. And the reporter is saying, I mean, I covered, not the reporter, the anchor saying, I covered a lot of legal cases and courtroom dramas in my day. I don't recall anybody in the court ever throwing up. Is this something that happens in South Africa? I thought, now that qualifies as a stupid question, I think. So the reporter said, well, I suppose it's not unheard of that someone, and then they get into, of course people throw up in courtrooms. You think just because you never saw someone throw up in a courtroom does not mean it never happens. I would think a courtroom is one of those venues where one should not be surprised if somebody throws up. They are, by their nature, venues of often drama, great emotion, fear. Often scenes of carnage are displayed. I mean, what? I'm surprised that we don't hear of more people puking in court. So, and what's the other big story? Oh, yes, Ukraine. Ukraine and Crimea. I don't know what Putin thinks he's doing, but I mean, fine. He can thrash around with all of his nationalist bruised pride and, all of this sense that Putin is now going to attempt to annex the old Soviet Union. The people are cowering in Lithuania and Poland. I mean, come on. He can't, okay? And it would not be allowed, I don't think. He can't even handle the country he's got left. The country he's got left is a basket case. But he is one scary character, isn't he? He is one unlikable character. Sometimes I try to imagine somebody like Putin being vulnerable or being kind, genuinely, or putting him in a situation in which you can see that there's a human being under there. And I really have trouble placing Vladimir Putin in that kind of a situation. Again, hopping around, welcome to my head, I came upon something from The Guardian in the British Isles, an article questioning whether or not you would consider hiring a photographer for your child's birth. Jess immediately wrinkled her nose and said, no. Right answer, right answer. I will never forget. And this is some time ago, the first time I was accosted. I felt accosted and assaulted by a proud father, new father, first-time father, who actually stopped me in the lunchroom at Channel 4 and pulled out a wad of still photos and said, let me show you the picture of, I forget the idiot, I'm sorry, idiot, not an idiot, the little baby angel's birth. No! Let me show you the picture. And I thought, the pictures of the birth? I don't want to. And this guy had, so there were pictures. I mean, I was stunned. And here's his head crowning. Well,
ew.
Yeah, Jack, that was his name. Jack, I really don't think I want to look at a picture of your wife's stretched vaginal area with her legs all akimbo, and what you say, and I'm sure you're correct, is the top of your firstborn's head emerging from between her legs. I don't want to see it. Why would anyone think they'd want to see it? Tell me this. If your parents had done such a thing, would you like having a picture of this is my emergence into the world? This is my first picture, although now people have the first pictures of their sonograms. So I guess a lot of people now, it is true. have seen themselves in utero. So why not follow it up and have a picture of your actual entry into the world? It's too much. I don't understand why people have lost track of boundaries. And maybe even if you would want pictures of your child's birth, that's fine and dandy. But I don't think you share those with people. Co-workers who you hardly even know all that well. But hiring a photographer? I can imagine maybe a father deciding he'll take a snap or two while he's in the room, but hiring a professional photographer, a perfect stranger? People are nuts. I think. People are nuts. Okay, I gotta take a break. This is very weird. You are listening to me talk to myself. It's okay. I think. It's okay. We'll take a break and I'll be right back.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Public Theater's masterpiece season unleashes a true classic with An Iliad. Homer's tales of the Trojan War take center stage in this dynamic tour de force featuring one actor playing all of the Greek epic's most famous characters. Tegel Bougere stars in this emotionally charged theater event that the San Francisco Chronicle hailed as absolutely riveting. An Iliad is on stage at the O'Reilly from March 6th through April 6th. For tickets, call 412-316-1600 or buy online at ppt.org.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win tickets to see Pittsburgh versus St. Louis at PNC Park April 4th. Plus, lots of great free stuff every week. The CP Haps app, brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
This is the sound of a flat-screen television hurled off a building. Now the new bike your kid wants. These are the things you could have, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Use Energy Star light bulbs and appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Public Theater's masterpiece season unleashes a true classic with An Iliad. Homer's tales of the Trojan War take center stage in this dynamic tour de force featuring one actor playing all of the Greek epic's most famous characters. Tegel Bougere stars in this emotionally charged theater event that the San Francisco Chronicle hailed as absolutely riveting. An Iliad is on stage at the O'Reilly from March 6th through April 6th. For tickets, call 412-316-1600 or buy online at ppt.org.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Okie doke. It's a good idea, Chuck. Chuck says, after the eggs hatch, you should get the ornithologist at the National Aviary in. To talk about it. That's a good idea. I will do that. Wall Street Journal today has a piece about how so many people simply cannot say no when asked to do something. And I am so much one of them. I mean, my gosh. I don't know why, but I think there's personalities, and I must have one, I think I do, that are pleaser personalities, that are, you don't want to appear to be unhelpful, you want to, and it's so much a part of what your sense is that you just can't say no. I believe I sang a song to you the other day like that. Because... And the Wall Street Journal goes into this thing. I mean, scientifically, your brain does react if you're on the receiving end of no for anything, it is you react as you react to any rejection. And it's not a positive, makes sense, right? It's not a positive reaction. Neuroscientists have, done enough study of our brains to see that brains actually react more strongly to the negative than they do to the positive. The Republicans know this. Negative information, excuse me, actually does produce in the brain a bigger and a faster surge of electrical activity. So if you feed into your brain something positive, your synapses fire up and things are happening. But feed in something negative, even as simple as, no, I can't help you. And it's much, much more intense. And the biologists would say, well, that makes sense. I mean, in terms of survival, that we would want a stronger reaction to a potential danger, a negative, than we would to a positive. A strong memory, they say, of something hurtful helps us to remember to avoid such a thing in the future. So that's why it's... But anyway, so some people don't have any problem whatsoever in seeing to their own interests. So if they're asked to do something and it's not what they want to do, they just say no, and there's no problem for them. None. I don't know who you people are, but God, what an easier way to get through the world. And I think people like you rely on people like me, the people who can't say no, to, pick up and do these things that are requested, little things, big things, whatever. I have a friend who I think of as an extraordinarily kind and giving person. But I have seen through our decades of friendship that even though she's one of the kindest souls and generous souls I know, she absolutely knows how much she can or wants to take on, and she will say no. And I've been blown away by that, so I can see that it's possible. Just the fact that you say no does not necessarily mean you're not a good and caring and generous of spirit kind of a person. Women, they believe, have this affliction more so than men, and that makes sense to me because women are, by their gender roles and maybe even by biology, more programmed to be caretakers and nurturers, and that's the kind of a mindset that would make you say, well, yes, of course. Oh, yes, rather than no. So anyway, there's a tutorial here in the Wall Street Journal for people like me about how you can actually say no. They first of all say that we're supposed to practice saying no, and that if we're fearful that someone is going to ask us something, maybe even something big, and that you should be prepared so that you can say no. And they do say that, this is something I've found, and I often lie. Blaming external circumstances is a good way to, oh, I'm so sorry, but I will not be in town. I will be at my, fill in the blanks. Oh, I'm so sorry, I have another engagement, whatever. I have used that because I can't just flat out say no. And there are people who can't, and they just say no. And then the person asks again, and they say no. Can you do that, Jess?
Oh, yeah.
Jess can say no. And they say if a person refuses to take no for an answer, I just want to say that person's a jerk. But if you bump into one of those, they say keep repeating no. Stick to your guns, and to always say no in a gentle tone of voice. Never say it loudly and aggressively, but really in a gentle tone. And then they talk about this woman, a person, who her friends say really knows how to just take care of herself. And she says this: when someone asks her to do something, she asks herself one question: will this bring me joy? If the answer is no, then her answer is no. Now, I cringed when I read that. That wouldn't, I mean, I hope to get better at saying no, but that's never going to be my default question. Will what you're asking me to do bring me joy? And if the answer is no, I'm going to say no? What? That seems so extraordinarily self-centered that I'm blown away by it. I really am. And so if the Wall Street Journal is putting out, they are in this article, putting her up as an exemplar, someone who only does things which she can figure will bring her joy. I think that's a bad question. I was thinking the other day, I was in a taxi cab in Philadelphia, and the cab driver was from Ghana, and he was listening to a talk show in Ghanese or whatever. I don't know what the language was, a Ghana talk show. And I thought it was funny that he didn't turn it off when we got in the cab, because I thought, what is that language? I couldn't figure it. And then we asked, and it was Ghana. And he told us that the spirited discussion we were hearing in a language we couldn't parse was a discussion on whether being rich made you happy, or was wealth an impediment to real happiness, or a bestower. And what was interesting is these guys, it was all men in Ghana, were coming down on all sides of the issue. He every once in a while would translate things or would be laughing about it. But so I started thinking, this whole idea of happiness itself, my guess is a relatively new construct or question in human history that 500 years ago, I don't know, pick your period, I don't know, people were not as self-absorbed and thinking, am I happy? Will this bring me joy? I think through most of human history, people were just trying to make it. And I think happiness, the whole idea of happiness, wouldn't that be in some respects, I mean, that we're so obsessed with it ourselves and finding it for ourselves, isn't that the kind of thing that only happens when you're living at a certain level of wealth itself, where the stressors of the natural world seem to be removed. I'm thinking of the eagles in their nest. They're not thinking about happiness. And I think humans used to be like that too, didn't we? All I know is if someone asks you to do something, to think, would that bring me joy? As far as I'm concerned, that makes you a jerk. Which leads me to believe that I'll be saying yes, 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 yes. And I have to tell you, sometimes, because I say yes a lot, when I really in my heart want to say no, I don't want to, I have ended up being very happy that I agreed, because sometimes you say yes to things that you, on first blush, would think would make you uncomfortable, or you can't see yourself doing that or whatever. And then by virtue of your assent, you end up having to do something you did not want to do, that in fact you thought would not cause you joy. And you have an interesting experience or a life. I just don't think your life ever moves forward in any great ways if you don't do exactly the opposite of what that woman does, is to move outside of your comfort zone. To do exactly the thing which you're afraid to do, don't want to do, blah, blah, blah. If all we ever do is what we want to do, I think that's a sad, pathetic, frightened kind of existence. It's way too hemmed in. Way too hemmed in. So after thinking about this and talking it out with you, I've decided I'd rather be somebody who can't say no than get like that woman. Now, if you could get to a healthy place, like my friend, or I'm sure Jess, that would be okay. But God, I think that is disgusting. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think that will bring me joy. You'll have to find somebody else. We'll take a break.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Pittsburgh Public Theater's masterpiece season unleashes a true classic with An Iliad. Homer's tales of the Trojan War take center stage in this dynamic tour de force, featuring one actor playing all of the Greek epic's most famous characters. Tegel Bougere stars in this emotionally charged theater event that the San Francisco Chronicle hailed as absolutely riveting. An Iliad is on stage at the O'Reilly from March 6th through April 6th. For tickets, call 412-316-1600 or buy online at ppt.org.
BurgBargains.com is the best bet for great deals in the Burg. Log on today for exclusive bargains from your favorite local restaurants like Blue Line Grill, Atria's, and Verde. Plus discounts on gift cards from H&M, Nordstrom's, and the Cheesecake Factory. BurgBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. BurgBargains.com.
Babies come with lots of decisions.
Cloth or disposable? Crib or bassinet?
So when it comes to protection, go with the safest, most effective choice, vaccination. Get all the recommended vaccines for your baby by age 2 to protect your child against 14 serious childhood diseases. For more reasons to vaccinate, talk to your child's doctor. Go to cdc.gov/vaccines or call 800-CDC-INFO. A message from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Pittsburgh Public Theater's masterpiece season unleashes a true classic with An Iliad. Homer's tales of the Trojan War take center stage in this dynamic tour de force, featuring one actor playing all of the Greek epic's most famous characters. Tegel Bougere stars in this emotionally charged theater event that the San Francisco Chronicle hailed as absolutely riveting. An Iliad is on stage at the O'Reilly from March 6th through April 6th. For tickets, call 412-316-1600 or buy online at ppt.org.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
So, a special section in the science section of the New York Times today about the latest gizmos, digital tools, I believe is the proper term. The latest gizmos for to help us all be joyful in our lives by maintaining our health and fitness. And this plays into what I said, that we are, going to constantly take on more and more of these sort of technological tools. When and if we can later implant them, we will. This is all part of the robotization of America, but of humanity. But there's some interesting stuff in here. I think I told you that I play some of those mind games on Lumosity.
I saw a commercial for it the other day.
Yeah, there are commercials. They're all over the place. Lumosity. And they're troublesome for me. I mean, they're focusing on the things that my brain is lousy at, which is often memory. And so there's some of their games, they'll like show me a grid, and they'll show like 7 of the blocks in the grid are highlighted, and then just for a second, and then bang, they disappear. And then I have to touch the grid and show where the 7 items were. And it requires like your brain to immediately see a pattern, remember it, and then be able to plug it. Well, my brains are in that regard. And I keep playing it, and I have gotten better. And so I'm thinking, well, that's got to be helping. The article in the science section today says, well, maybe not. And in fact, they don't really know about all of these brain workout apps now. The science hasn't been done. It is not apparent whether or not I'm actually helping my brain when it comes to memory by getting better at that game, or that all I'm doing is getting better at that game, and that it won't translate into the real world. So they don't know, in fact. I don't really care if it does or not. It's fun, and it feels like exercise. It feels like brain exercise. There have been studies, some done. These are obviously pretty quickie studies because this stuff hasn't been around that long. And they're coming up with some suggesting that some of this brain training can, in fact, improve your cognitive skills. But others saying, well, I don't know. So the jury's out, as it often is when it comes to these things. One thing they're pretty sure of is that there is no downside. There is no risk, to this is one fad perhaps that doesn't have any negatives really. I mean, so you are exercising your brain when you're doing it. Here's what one guy says, one of the doctors. I'm not convinced there's a huge difference between buying a $300 subscription to a gaming company. I just want to say I haven't bought a damn thing. I just downloaded the free app, which is very limited, I guess, but it's more than enough. I'm not convinced there's a huge difference between buying a $300 subscription to a gaming company versus you yourself doing challenging things on your own, like attending a lecture or learning how to play an instrument. So that brings up a good point that, again, and this is what I was saying before about the only way you move forward in life is by taking on challenges, which is why asking yourself the question, will it bring me joy? Although I suppose a challenge can bring you joy. That'd be great. Anyway, so there's that. So, they likened it to, remember when the baby Einstein tapes came out and said, oh, if you just play this music to your little baby in the crib, your baby's going to be a genius. You're going to add IQ points, which I always found somewhat suspect, and I did not do the Einstein stuff with my kid. And it has since been proven to be absolute hooey. Hooey. Because now the studies have been done. Here's one I get a kick out of. So you have a dog, and you leave your dog at home for most of the day. And you wonder what the hell that poor animal's doing. And of course now you can actually have monitors in the house that can record your poor dog's actions where he's doing all the stuff he's not supposed to do, like, getting on that couch and sleeping. But there's something called Drop Cam, which is a wireless security camera that can then be used as a pet monitor, but it has a microphone and a speaker so that you can talk to the animal from wherever you are. So if I have a dog and I have my little smartphone, I can click on and see what, little Snookums is doing at the moment. And if Snookums is on the couch, I can literally say, "Snookums, get down." And the dog, the poor animal who's sitting there on the couch and thinks I'm gone, hears my voice cutting through the air, my disembodied voice. And it's been actually, here's a woman who used it. She said she was spying on her dog Mitzi, who had positioned herself on a couch in the living room. And through the speaker, she says, I ordered her down. She cocked her head like the RCA dog, stared at the camera, and didn't move. So that dog was smart. I thought I heard a familiar voice tell me to get down, but on the other hand, I don't see any human being here, so I'm not doing it. I've often wondered if animals recognize your voice when you're not there. And you would think I would have been able to ascertain that because I had dogs while I was on television. And my son tells me that never did the dog look up if the news was on and then I came on and was talking and on camera and gesturing. Never would the dog pick that familiar voice out of the generalized babble that was constantly coming through that tube. So I don't think that's going to work. But there's something called Pet Cube that'll be out in May, which combines a webcam, a microphone, and speakers, and a laser pointer, ladies and gentlemen, so that you can control the laser pointer and play with your cats while you're someplace else. Do you like that one?
I do.
All right. Well, it's coming out. It's coming out in May. Who knows? Pet Cube. I'm sure it costs too much and it's silly. This message is for Jess. Well, sure. Go ahead. Pay no attention to me. Oh, yeah. He's saying something's wrong, and we keep getting these things. Just wanted to say that I really think something has changed with the feeds over the past couple of weeks. Ever since you know who was in with the mic, right? The video feed often stops, and I have to restart it. It's choppy at times. Secondly, the audio-only feed, the one that loops all day, that no longer works. When I use that feed, all I get is an extended beeping sound. I would often use iTunes to listen to the audio feed live, but that no longer works either, which we've heard from somebody else. Has something changed? These issues surfaced about 2 weeks ago and have not gotten any better. Ansel, thank you for that. That is the most clear.
Yeah, forward me the email.
I will forward to Jess. But I think that needs to be forwarded to parties who...
Yeah, I'll take care of it, though.
I want you all to wish us luck. Wish Jess a great deal of luck in this endeavor. But really, this is... no, we'll talk about this. This is unacceptable. Jeez. It's unacceptable. Thank you, Ansel. Appreciate that. Okay. Oh, here's the app that I saw that I liked. This is a fork. A fork where you eat it with. I mean, you eat with the fork. It's called the Happy Fork. Bad name. It costs, oh God, it costs $100. Or, to be honest, $99.99. And the Happy Fork vibrates and turns red if there's a pause of less than 10 seconds between the last time you brought the fork to your mouth. In other words, this fork is all about slowing you down when you eat. I have a friend who could use this fork. I mean, we all know people who literally inhale their food. And I mean, just like, and you sometimes think, well, maybe they were raised in a feral pack of sorts. And if you didn't jump in right away, you weren't going to be fed. Hello? Hello? Hello?
It's Clarence from Canonsburg.
Clarence.
Yeah. I was talking about your feed.
Yeah.
I never watch it online. I run it through iTunes.
Yeah.
And there was a time where, it would just pop on and I'd get a high-pitched sound, out of nowhere. It would just start running, even after the show was over. So what I started doing in iTunes is deleting the show out, and then every day just clicking the live news feed. I mean the feed, and then stop doing it. It runs perfectly.
I don't understand. You delete any old show?
Yeah. If you hit listen live, although I downloaded something onto my desktop, all I got to do is click that. It opens iTunes. It opens iTunes, and it gets this little thing that says it's running, and it stays there. So if you, it's like an HTTP thing. If you delete that one out and just put a new one in every day, it runs perfectly.
See, but I mean, we're so out of it up here. It's not like we're techies here.
Yeah.
Jess, did you know? Jess didn't know when this came up the other day that you can listen to the show live on iTunes.
Yeah. It says listen to live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you click that, for me, it threw a little icon, and I saved it to my desktop. And all I got to do is click on that, as opposed to getting on, go to your website, and then it runs that day's show. But then you'll get a line of them every time you click that thing in your iTunes.
So you're saying delete everything but
except the one that you're doing. As a matter of fact, like after the end of today's show, I'll go to iTunes and delete that thing out. Or out of nowhere, it'll just pop on and start, and I'll get this high-pitched sound. It's not even running the show. It would just make this high-pitched sound.
Okay, well...
I thought it was iTunes. I didn't think it was your show. I thought it was iTunes.
Well, I don't know. It sounds like you all... I mean, we have been getting a lot of things, and you're all sort of accessing the show in slightly different ways, it seems, and
yeah, I was going to say, I'm running a Mac, too, so, I'm running a whole different thing. I think WinMap, they do it on WinMap, too, so, yeah.
I don't have a clue. But
your techies will understand. Like I said, I thought it was iTunes. As soon as you said that, I went, oh, I had that problem last week.
Well, we'll try to.
Yeah, I never watched because I never had got a good connection. Watching the video, it would pause and all that kind of good stuff. But I wasn't blaming that on you either. I'm blaming that on my connection. My connections were just not fast enough. And I'm working on my computer simultaneously, so I'm figuring it's me.
Well. Okay, if Jess thinks, yes, it's you.
Yeah, I actually think it's probably more than likely, there's probably a glitch in there somewhere, but it's more than likely people's connection than it is you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's something has been happening ever since we got this microphone. Whoever did that also might have fiddled a little bit in here. It seemed like he had. So we think we've identified a culprit, but we're not sure. But we are mere putty in his hands, so it's not like we can. I mean, he's the guy he's the tech guy. I don't know.
Yeah. I thought it was me, and I fixed it, and been listening just fine ever since.
Why?
Although I don't get to see the video.
You have no idea what you are missing. Well, you are.
What, the video? Some person sitting there talking into a microphone?
Some person? It is me with my plastic face. You're missing all the, the nuance.
Well, you have a good nuanced voice, though, and
Okay.
I've seen you enough that I can imagine what you're doing. See how I got out of that? You like that?
Yeah, that was very good. Very smooth. Very smooth. All
So,
right.
but I never got a good feed from the internet, so I just stopped trying. And I think it's my connection speed more than it is you guys.
Okay, and by the way, Jess wants to meet you, so you have to, are you going to be doing the arts? I'm trying to think. Whenever you're downtown doing caricatures, we got to figure out how to...
Yeah, I always go down to the arts festival. Why should you want to meet me for?
Best caller ever.
Best caller ever.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me put my head back on. This got so big my neck couldn't handle it.
She thinks you're the best.
But she's a friend of mine on Facebook. She's got a really good insight into my life.
That's true. And so she likes you there, too. But so
Okay.
she really likes you. So
I was actually thinking about when it gets warmer, just driving down and popping in on you guys.
Well,
Although I won't get clearance, huh?
No, you'll get clearance if you sign in and all that.
Yeah.
Clearance for Clarence, please.
I was waiting for that.
All right, yeah. But, sure. And, I've been thinking that maybe we might do a week or so, or just a day, where some of the guys who call, we'll see if you would come in and people could...
people could see me. I know your show's over, but just one quick story about the arts festival.
Okay.
I'm a regular caller.
Yes.
I was down there, and I'm sitting next to one of my friends drawing caricatures, and a guy walks up and says, is there a guy who calls the Lynn Cullen show named Clarence working here? And my friend says, yeah, that's him right there. He goes, that's not, no. That's a, he's not a black guy. Thought that was hilarious.
Well, and I'd like to know what your next line was, though.
What's that?
What would you say after he said, no, he's not a black guy?
I just thought it was hilarious. But me, I said I get that all the time because of my voice. Yeah. I don't have a in quotation marks black accent. Not much of one anyway.
No, you don't. You do not. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good day. All
You
right.
too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
And yes. Whew. Well, Clarence, listen to this. We've gotten Laura has written in the following. Why can't I find it here, Laura? Here it is. Clarence is the best caller. I agree with Jess. Oh, Clarence. There you go. Got 2 votes. Ladies love you. They love you. All right, you guys. Thank you very much for putting up with my meanderings. And tomorrow we'll do it again. Okay? Thank you.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.